So let's talk about new world qualifying in the sales world. Now, you hear so much in the sales world, like, oh, you got to sell socially, you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on Facebook, you got to be in LinkedIn, you got to be engaging. And yes, that's true. You do have to do that, and you have to build relationships, and you have to start talking to people. But even still, you can build all these great relationships. It doesn't mean people are going to buy from you, and also it doesn't mean that the right people are going to buy from you. What's something you really have to understand and start doing is the if you have a good relationship with someone, they'll listen to your demo, but it doesn't mean they're ever going to buy from you. What you need to do is have a system up front where you actually qualify the person you're speaking to. Without them really knowing you're qualifying it, you're asking them questions, you're being curious, and you're building a great relationship with them. But what you need to do is find out some core key aspects that makes it worthwhile that you're actually going to sell to them. Because if they don't qualify for these, then why are you going to waste your time pitching and demoing? And this is why I say I have some people that are really good at getting appointments, but they're rubbish at closing. And the reason they're rubbish at closing is because they're pitching to people that are never ever going to buy from them, but they just agree to an appointment. You know, time is the only thing that ever runs out. It's the only resource that changes each day. That once it's gone, it's gone. So you need to make sure that you're spending your time most as effective possible way that you can. And the best way to do that is you qualify up front before deciding how much more time to spend on an opportunity. So you can go read on this. There's loads of really cool ways that you can go and talk about qualifying, and it changes slightly from what your sales process is. But for me, there's four really core things that whenever you're qualifying, that on a basic level you have to understand these four things. So what we got here, it's a little acronym called ANUM. Now all you got to remember, people buy from people they know, like and trust. So you don't just phone up and ask these questions outright because you just sound like a bit of a moron. If you go, are you the authority that I need to speak to? Do you have a need for my product? Is it urgent you buy right now? And do you have the money for it? You know, you don't speak like that as a salesperson. And that's the point of this training, is to understand is you've got to normalize what I'm telling you here into your everyday conversation. You've got to practice this and rehearse it so it becomes something that you can do. So it's very natural that you're almost doing it under the radar, so the people you're speaking to, the people you're prospecting, don't know that you're doing it. You're there to fact find. You're there to find out what you want. So some of this you can do before you've even picked the phone up. You know, there's four things, as I said. There's authority, need, urgency, and money. So you get your lead sheet through. You pick up the yellow pages, or whatever it is you want to do. However you're sourcing your leads. Let's assume we're getting leads coming in. Well, the first thing you want to know is, are you speaking to the right person who's in authority to make the purchase? Now, there might be a chain involved in this, but first of all, at a very basic level, are you speaking to the right person? Because you could speak to a receptionist somewhere and have a great conversation, but it's pointless if they've got no authority to actually decide on what you're doing. You need to find out who's the person that's going to sign off the contract, sign off the purchase order, get their credit card out. Who is that person? Now, you might get more complicated ones where you have to deal with one person to then influence and get the person in authority. It's fine if that's their job to do that. So if you're selling something to do with online commerce and you're speaking to the e-commerce manager, you are probably speaking to the right person, but what you do need to understand is, are they the one that actually is going to buy? Because they may love what you're telling them, because they know exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't mean that the decision maker wants this. So you need to understand that up front. There's nothing more infuriating of having a great buy-in from someone and then they go, yeah, but it's not my decision. So the other thing you need to do is also establish the basic need, because you've got to find out whether what you're selling in any way whatsoever fits into what they need. And you don't just go, hey, I'm selling this, do you want to buy it? It doesn't work like that. You know what you're selling. You're the expert at it. What you need to do is ask questions to establish, is there anything going on in their head that tells me straight away? Have I seen an article in the news even that I know that what I'm selling is a good fit for them? So you need to do some basic need analysis of, how can I help this person I'm speaking to? What can I help them achieve? What problems can I help solve for them? And you need to make sure that there's something there that you can hang your product on up front. Urgency. You need to find out what their buying process is in terms of time scale. You know, if you're dealing with something that renews once a year and they don't renew for 8 months, you can't sit there and go, oh great, I'm going to get this in. You need to work that sales cycle over the next 8 months to get where their budget cycle is, or the renewal dates. But if you can find out why they need something right now, bang, you're going to be a lot quicker sales. So you need to find that out. And likewise, there's a lot of people out there that would love to buy what you've got, but they simply don't have the money for it. You know, you need to understand that up front. What kind of money do they actually have that they could spend with you? What's the chances of them unlocking some budget, even if they say they haven't got some money? You want to find this out up front, and you know, you don't just ask these blatant questions, but you need to make sure that you've got these 4 things in your head that whenever you're speaking, you're trying to capture. Have I got the right person who can make a decision on this? Is there any base level need for what I'm selling? How quickly are they likely to buy from me? And have they got the money? Have they got the funds to do this straight away as well? So once you've understood those 4 things, you've got a good idea if you're going to invest any more time and go and pitch to them, go and meet with them, whatever it is you're going to do. But you don't want to waste your time doing something unless you know that you're going to get a result at the end of it. But always remember, don't be a robot when you're doing this. You've got to make it very natural, great conversation. Because remember, people buy from people they know, like and trust. So at all times, you've got to make sure that that's what you're building into your conversations as well.